Hello folks, I'm Johnny CashFlow, and today I will be going over a post that I made on Candid due to popular demand. This is my first video I've ever made, so, you know, don't be too harsh, whatever. So in the video regarding Buzzfeed 24 questions black people have for white people, I posted, I'm going to read what I posted and then maybe articulate it a little bit further. So what I said was one particular point stuck out to me, which I believe needs to be driven home once and for all. Afrocentrists always go on about the black community, then attempt to prescribe this community mentality onto others, specifically white people. I believe that this is one of the major disconnects between the races. Black Americans are pandered to by race baiters like Al Sharpton and taught to believe in this one community mentality, which is very similar to the Muslim Ummah, though I'm not drawing connections, I'm just saying that they are very similar in mentality. Uh, However, white people do not have this mentality. There's no white community, nor are there white community leaders, despite attempts to describe them. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people think that they're funny or whatever when they try and say that, Sean Hannity is the leader of the white community, or Trump is the leader of the white community. But those are what those people are ascribing to the white community. Nobody within the white community, I think, or nobody who is white, I should say, would say that there's a white community or that there are white community leaders. Sure, I can hear people talking right now. Well, there's white racist leaders like David Duke. Everybody always brings up David Duke. Well, let me tell you, if I saw David Duke and he ever started talking, some hateful, racist, bigoted stuff, I'll probably punch him in his face. And I don't know too many people who wouldn't. With that being said, David Duke doesn't speak for me, and I've never even heard the guy say anything. I've never watched any videos or anything like that, which is very contrary to what a lot of black people who would agree that people like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, etc. Whenever we have incidences that occur between police and a black person. Al Sharpton has to get out there and has to show up and has to be, that spokesperson for black people, and I think that he's doing a big disservice, and more on that later. But that's what I mean when I say that people try to ascribe white community leaders to white people, and there's just no such thing. So when rhetorical questions are asked, this is going back to the video, such as how does it feel to not be the spokesperson for your entire race, or statements like, when we see a story on TV about a white serial killer, I don't automatically assume that all white people must be serial killers too. These statements clearly demonstrate the hive-minded mentality of the community and the struggle for understanding individualism. So what I mean by that is, again, you'd be very hard pressed to find a white person, a rational white person who doesn't believe, who doesn't belong to some hippie commune or something that talks about the white community. So, being the spokesperson for our entire race, I don't know. When I had a white friend who was friends with a bunch of black people, whenever things about race came up, they asked him about his point of view. So, that the assumption there is being made, ignorantly, that if one person of a race, is surrounded by other people of different races, and the issue of race comes up, then yeah, you kind of are acting as the spokesperson, the unofficial spokesperson during that discussion, during that debate. And the way to fix that is through through education, and educating people on the facts and the issues, rather than ad hominems and getting into generalizations, and more on that later. Then the second person who said about the story about the serial killer, you know, um, statistics are statistics and facts are facts. And as Ben Shapiro famously said, facts don't care about your feelings. Um, you know, I think the fact is, as Undoomed pointed out, that most serial killers are white. So maybe you should be concerned if you see a white person, that they might be a serial killer. With that being said, facts are that statistics are that black people are more prone to violence. Sure, a lot of it's black on black crime, inner cities and such, but that is a statistical reality that does tend to manifest itself into generalized fear, and it's only through education and interaction, through an exposure between everybody, that we're able to tear those down. But unfortunately, a lot of these issues come up with the fact that only black people only make up for 13-14% of Americans. When I joined the Marine Corps, there were white people in the at boot camp who had never seen a black person before. They'd never interacted with a black person before. So, of course, just based on statistics, I read that what is it, 77% of Americans identify as white. That's including Hispanic descended people who self-identify as white. So 77% of Americans identify as white. So therefore, it's more likely that they're going to have more interactions with each other, with more white people, and black people are going to have more interactions with white people than they are necessarily with black people, assuming that they get outside of that black community. So, you could tell by the second guy talking about the serial killer, back to my point, that he's really kind of struggling with this understanding that a person is a person. An individual is an individual. We are not bound by the color of our skin. We're not, if you're black, you're not bound by the color of your skin. You don't have to behave a certain way. You don't have to believe a certain thing. And he's really struggling with this, and I'll get into why. And that's because, as I go on in my post, this community hive mind mindset is also the explanation as to why, when a black person is found to have been solely responsible for their death due to, in most cases, resisting arrest and battery, that a global refusal of facts occurs. The acceptance of an individual's personal responsibility is severely lacking, as the black community seeks to remove individualism and force people into submitting to the will of the community. This, Baring talks about this. Shoe on Head, I think, talked about this. Blair White talks a lot about this, about the facts. Some black guy talks a lot about this, that there's very few instances that have occurred where you can objectively say that yes, the police officer actively went out gunning for black people, or at the very least, you could say that they acted inappropriately. And those police officers, as Steven Crowder says, should be prosecuted. They should be prosecuted within the confines of the law. But time and time again, a prime example or a perfect example can't be brought to bear by the quote-unquote black community. I mean, if a police officer, as Steve Crowder mentioned, does a drive-by, show me where a police officer does a drive-by on a black person just sitting there minding their own business because they just wanted to go hunt black people. That doesn't happen. You're not seeing that. But the black community forces individuals, into believing the hive mind that it has to be racist, that it has to be what they say it is, instead of actually looking at any of the facts. Trayvon Martin is a perfect example of this. When I discuss Trayvon Martin with black people, they don't understand that Trayvon Martin had tackled and mounted George Zimmerman and was beating his head off the concrete. They don't even know that fact. They never heard of this. So when they bring up Trayvon Martin and I go to refute their point, they call me racist. See, because they don't understand the facts around it, and so that's what I mean when I say the uh, the global refusal of facts. Because every single person that I've debated this issue with, um, they don't know the facts. They've never heard the facts. All they could say is that George Zimmerman was racist. Donald Trump is racist. I'm racist. You're racist. Everybody's racist. And that's all they have to say, instead of actually looking into and understanding the facts of the case on an individual basis. So I go on to say that I implore black Americans to stop following what the hive mind tells you. If you speak proper English, you're not talking white. If you study, get good grades, and avoid the pitfalls of life, you're not acting white. Growing up in where I grew up in California, um, my first exposure of racism, I wasn't even explained to that it was racist because it was a black person yelling racist epithets against a white person. It was so common in my school to hear black people just targeting and targeting white people with racial remarks. I didn't understand, and especially growing up in California. It wasn't explained to me that that racism could be, black people against white people. Racism, when it was explained to me, and this was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, was racism was what white people was when white people hate black people because of the color of their skin, you know, and so. And so I also saw a lot, back to my point, because I'm getting a little bit off the rant here. Back to my point is that what I also see, and if you're black, you know what I'm talking about. You can deny it all you want. You could say no, I don't see this, but anybody who's black has experienced a black person who is doing well for themselves, is studying or doing something that's going to be good for them, outside of sports, and they get called an Oreo. They get called, they're black on the outside, white on the inside. They get a lot of hate and discontent because they're actually trying to do something with themselves. Look at in popular culture, you can see this in Ben Carson, Larry Elders, uh, you know, Tommy Sotomayor. They're called house niggers. They're called bootlicking Uncle Toms. They're called all of these horrible, disgusting, racist names, but nobody actually stands up and debates them and discusses this with them, right? Because they have gone against the hive mind, and it's this hive mind that I encourage people to fight against. I don't care what ethnicity you are. I don't give a crap, because there's tons of white people who perpetuate this garbage as well for the black community. And let me tell you, if there's anything that the black community really doesn't need, and that is white people speaking for them. So that's another thing that I think that what I'm trying to encourage and what I'm trying to get through is that you are an individual. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. You are an individual, and as an individual, you have choices and consequences. And each one of your choice, has either reward or consequence. Unfortunately, in situations that Black Lives Matter, for example, want to bring up, hands up, don't shoot. Michael Brown, he made a choice. He made the wrong choice, and it's the perpetuation of this black community that leads younger children to believe that, first, to have a complete disregard of the facts of the case, and then to later go and prop Michael Brown up as a martyr and somebody to be emulated, keeps individuals who are then grouped into this black community as victims of themselves. And so I go on to wrap this whole thing up. I talk about how white people are not a community. You know, a white person is responsible for their actions. Everybody needs to be responsible for their actions. But in the dialogue, in the I shouldn't say dialogue, in the narrative of the media, um, you know, it's a white person commits a crime, but if you say anything about a black person committing a crime, you're then uh, offending the entire black everybody who's black, who's a black American, and that's garbage. That's absolutely garbage. Um, you know, and so I go on to say I postulate, and you know, you can hold me to this. You know, that I postulate that race will continue to be an issue in America for as long as politicians and their racist Afrocentric shills, can manipulate the black community into voting for them. Um, so, and I truly believe that's the truth. Uh, you know, so long as people can use a black person and say that this person over here is racist without any facts, evidence, or whatever, or quote them out of context or what have you, or they could just use the term racist or sexist or homophobic or this phobic, that phobic, everybody's phobic. All right, so long as they could put these immature, intellectually dishonest labels on to people, then and as long as black people, black individuals, uh, uh, subscribe to this hive mind and believe these narratives, then then they will continue. There will continue to be racist issues. Race will continue to be an issue in America. So with that, I'm done. I'm done with this rant. This, like I said, this is the first video I've ever made, ever. Um, so I want to thank everybody for encouraging me to do it on Candid, whether Candid is actually, um, you know, a good app or a bad app. I don't really know. Time will determine that, whether it's a Twitter in disguise or not, and I'm gonna get shadow banned, or maybe I don't know. But I want to say thank you to everybody. Please like and subscribe to the video. I guess that's what everybody says to do. Um, you know, I probably will forget about this, and probably will never make another video. But I made this one, so fucking A. There's one. Oh, I said fuck, so I can't monetize this shit either. So there goes that. All right, maybe in the future I'll talk about other things. I rant a lot, so you know, maybe I can rant about stupid shit. But if you like this, please leave a comment. If you don't like it, leave a comment. Make an argument against me. That's fine. You know, just writing "you're racist." That's pretty lame. I'm gonna laugh at you because that holds no power anymore. So you just call somebody racist. Okay, great. Prove to me that I'm a racist. You know, give me exact examples. Give me cite something for once in your life, instead of just screaming you're racist. Because really, this whole anti-SJW movement, whatever you want to call it, stemming from anti-feminist to whatever you want to call it, it's growing in momentum, and I love it. I don't care if you're liberal, if you're conservative, you're libertarian, you're anarcho-capitalist or whatever. I don't care. You know, we can have debates on an intellectual level, and that's what I encourage and I want. You know, let's talk in the future. I'll talk. I like to talk more about more economic-based stuff. My name is Johnny CashFlow, not to be confused with that rapper. I guess there's a rapper now, or maybe there was, and I just never paid attention. But don't get us confused. I'm the guy who's actually going to be talking about stuff that actually matters. I'm assuming he doesn't talk about anything that matters. I'm generalizing now. All right, I'm rambling. I'm out. See you guys if I happen to make another video. Later.